Welcome to the latest edition of the DBS webinar series, Insurance Insight, where we tackle in-depth topics, dig deep into breaking news, and scour the industry for the people who can give you the information you need as a financial professional. In these sessions, we give you the tools and analysis so you can better understand the products and solutions that will help you help your clients. Now, here's your host, Kurt Fasen, DBS Sales and Marketing Executive.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Insurance Insight from DBS. I'm so glad you took time out of your day to join us, and I'm very excited to have my good friend and colleague, Laura Thompson, with us today. Laura is the Director of Marketing here at DBS and has been with our firm for nearly a decade. She has a lot of insight around not only marketing, but actually has a master's degree in areas such as education and learning. And I'm excited to learn together with you, what we're going to find out today around the topic of personal brand. So there's a lot of things that we can talk about regarding this topic. Laura, talk to us a little bit about how you'd like to approach our time together today.
Thanks, Kurt, and thank you for having me. So today we're going to really talk about the actual process of building your brand. First, I'm going to share about the importance of having a personal brand, what it is, and how a good personal brand can be really beneficial to your business career. Then I'm going to talk about how to specifically define it, just the steps in the process of really taking that introspective look at yourself, who you are, what you're good at, and that kind of thing. And then finally, I'll talk about execution and how you actually hone your own brand and develop it over time.
That sounds great. That sounds great. But I want to first establish personal brand. So when I think about brands, I think about things like, well, here in Minnesota, I think of things like the Minnesota Twins or General Mills or something more like that. So can you define really what is a personal brand?
Sure. So your personal brand in its most basic definition is your reputation. It's what you're known for professionally, what everybody knows about you to be true. So it's this unique combination of skills, experience, education, even your personal or character traits, all boiled down into one indistinguishable definition of who you are. So, for example, if you're this real organized, meticulous note taker, really known for your organizational skills, you will find that you start getting asked to do things that play up those strengths. If you're this incredibly charismatic, real good conversationalist, things like that, you will be asked to do things that speak to those skills. That shows that people know what your brand is. So there's a quote by Jeff Bezos, CEO of Amazon. He once said that your personal brand is what people say about you when you leave the room. So in essence, you're already building your personal brand. From the minute you started your professional career, you've been developing the skills that you're good at and deciding who you're going to be. So you want to make sure that when you leave the room, people say, oh, Kurt, yeah, he's great. You can really expect him to bring X, Y, or Z to the table. In essence, it's what you're known for, what you're good at, and what people are going to say about you behind your back.
Wow. That's both exciting and a little bit terrifying when you put it like that, Laura. So most of the times on this call, we're talking about how to help people sell more life insurance or understand how life insurance companies are working. So why is it important for us to be talking about personal brand?
Well, it's really important to spend the time developing your personal brand because, as I said, whether you know it or not, you've already got a personal brand. You can either ignore it and let it develop beyond your control, or you can help massage it and really formulate a strong brand to depict the person you want to be. So if you don't spend time on it, it can be this unfocused, disoriented, disconnected depiction of who you are as a professional. You can come across as, jack of all trades, master of none. You can come across as good, but not great. It's basically deciding about who you are as a professional, who you want to be, and what specific things you're going to bring to your colleagues, your partners, your clients. It really will show your value as a professional. And another important part about this is that having a strong personal brand gives you an instant recognition. Right away, people are going to know that this is who you are and what you do. So think about some, common brands. Apple, with just a symbol. You think about Apple, you think tech savvy, innovative, smart. Think of Mercedes-Benz. You instantly think sleek, luxury, high-end. Even Nike with just the swoosh. You think of motivation. You think of energy, athleticism, fitness. With no words at all, just those symbols, people instantly know what they're going to get. So if you as a financial professional have not developed this personal brand, people aren't going to know what to expect of you. They're not going to know why they should work with you as opposed to all of the other people out there that do have a personal brand developed.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So go one step maybe deeper, another level down. So on the call, as you know, because for our audience, for you that don't know, Laura also plays as the executive producer for this program typically. So today she's doing double duty, but I'd like to know of the financial professionals, the advisors that are on this call, what does personal brand mean to them? Why is it important for them to take notice today?
Well, so that instant credibility I just talked about automatically gives a person a higher trust factor. It gives that instant recognition and credibility so that people believe they know you better. And when people believe they know you better, they instantly have that higher trust. Whether they've met you before or not, they're instantly going to trust you and want to do business with you or work with you. I mean, think of elections. Name recognition is huge because if people have heard of the name or know the name, they think they know you and therefore are more inclined to vote for you. The same is true for this personal branding. If people think they know you, they're going to have that automatic trust. Furthermore, if people trust you, so even for clients that already work with you, if they trust you, they're going to have far greater client connection with you. They're going to trust you so they'll be open, honest with conversations. So you, when you're working with clients, will get better responses or deeper conversations so that you're better able to advise them. You're going to be able to dig deeper and learn and understand what's important to them and therefore be able to recommend solutions for them. So there's really no better way to show who you are as an individual or as a business person than by having a good, solid personal brand that's going to make you more memorable from the start and make you have this greater success as a financial professional.
When I was in my former life, we'll say, we talked a lot about the fact that you needed to stand out. You needed to differentiate. We actually talked about it as what we call the blue ocean strategy. And there's a book out there called that, where you want to differentiate yourself and go into a different part where other people are not. And that you can think of, you can establish yourself with this brand that kind of feels very similar to what you're talking about. You need to be able to, there are so many people that are doing financial advising in one way, shape, or form or another. This allows you to kind of step above the rest. So we've established the what, we've established the why, but now let's talk about the how. And let's stay high level at first. How do people craft that personal brand?
Okay, so really at the core, really high level, there's three basic parts to it. The first thing is to identify a clear, unique strength, talent, or even group of skills that make you who you are. This is often the hardest part because people don't know themselves. They haven't taken the time to really look inward, determine what they're good at, what they consistently get recognized for, even what they value. So it's really important to take the time on this part of the process to look inward and decide who you really are and what you want to be. The second step is to articulate or be able to articulate this uniqueness, showing the world that this is who you are, knowing it and owning it, and realizing that this is how people are going to see you. And then third, it's being consistent. It's being consistent in communicating this over and over and over again. So the key is really to reinforce with everything you do, whether it's an office interaction, an email, whatever the case may be, but it's consistently and continually building that brand.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? So you're constantly reinforcing what you said you are, and then reinforcing that not only by your words but by your actions as well. All right, so let's go. I'm gonna drill us down a little bit further and talk about that first step. That sounds, you said it's hard. I mean, it doesn't sound that hard, but talk particularly how you determine your own brand. Step us through that a little bit.
Sure. So, the first part is this determining your key traits or your passions. This is the introspection part, the part that I said is often the hardest for people, but it's actually the most important part. So you really have to get out a piece of paper, write down, what are you really passionate about? Is it travel? Is it health and fitness? Is it family? Is it money? What's important to you? Is it helping others? Is it saving money, spending money, making money? Is it being an innovator? The important thing here is not to worry about what the actual words are that come out. It's just to write it down, the first thing that comes to mind. Don't worry about fitting a particular mold, just write down anything that comes to you. As part of this, determine your key traits. So again, write down all of the words that come to mind when you think about what describes you or what words describe you as a professional. What do you do best? What are your core competencies? What are your talents? They don't have to be related at this point. Just write down whatever comes to mind. You'll probably end up with a list that doesn't seem like it's connected at all, and that's okay. We're looking for 10, maybe even 20 words. I know when I did this, I had things like musician, organized, prompt, decisive, pleasant, happy. None of those really seem like they were related, but that's okay. Just write down everything that comes to mind. After you're done with that, repeat that process by asking other people to describe you as well. So for this step, go to some different types of relationships that you have. Go to some colleagues. Go to even a direct report or your boss. Go to some family members. Really a wide range of people that know you. Ask them for 10, maybe even 20 words to describe you. And again, don't ask for anything specific. Don't worry about what those words are. Just ask them to write down those free form. Now here's where it gets interesting, because once you take all of these lists and boil them down together, you'll be surprised that you probably start seeing a trend. You're going to see that the same 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 words are showing up over and over again, both in the lists that you wrote down yourself and in the lists that people wrote of you. So now get out a highlighter or a pen where you can start scratching words out. Circle or highlight the words that show up over and over again. With this one, again, you're going to want to have maybe 6 or 8 words or related words that all match up. So after you've done that, we need to get it down to 2 or 3 things. So take that list of 6 or 8 words and think to yourself, where are your values? What do you really want to be as a financial professional? What is your real expertise and value? What makes you recognizable and memorable? Are you a numbers person? Do you consistently provide, detailed spreadsheets or reports for your clients? In that case, you're probably going to want, words like, statistician or detail-oriented, things like that. Or are you more of a people person? Do you want to be that advisor that takes the extra time to get to know them? Do you want to be that advisor that asks them, what keeps them up at night? How can I really best advise you to get to your retirement goals? Again, take the time to really find those 2 or 3 words that you want to be.
Well, and that sounds like something that when you are at that maybe 6 or 8 word summary, you might see a word on there that you think really clearly lines up with who you are, but you also need to make sure that the word, in my opinion, the word you're selecting is something authentic. It's something that you truly can live, right? It can't just be a word that's like, oh, well, that'll look good. It really needs to be the essence, your DNA, who you are, right?
Absolutely. And really that is, the number one key to this process is you've got to be authentic. People can spot a fake a mile away. And, anyone who's tried to be someone they're not can't sustain it. It's just not natural, and it's not going to come across as that authentic factor.
So when you walk through that, you kept saying, you get list of 20 and you get a list of 20 and you hone it to 6 and you get it to 2 and all of that. But let's just say you have a little trouble with that and you can't come up with, let's say, 1. Are there some common things that people might want to think about when they're looking for a personal brand?
Sure. Yeah, there's really 5 main categories in strong brands. And typically, most people are going to fall into these 5 categories. The first one is excitement. Words like carefree, spirited, youthful. For this one, think about, are you prone to taking more risks, or are you prone to promoting more fun in your work? The second one is sincerity. Words like kindness, thoughtfulness, and orientation toward, family values. Are you this advisor that I spoke about earlier that really wants to dig deep into the client wants and needs? The third one is competence. Pretty straightforward things, successful, accomplished. This would be where you're more prone to perhaps leadership roles. You're straightforward. You want to show your education and expertise. The fourth one is ruggedness. This is, outdoorsy, more rugged, rough. In professional settings, this tends to come out as that you're not worried about, when things take a downturn. You're really, steadfast in staying the course. The fifth one is sophistication, elegance, prestige. Are you more the type of person that likes to show your accolades on the wall? Are you more interested in showing that more sophisticated level of your practice? All of these are fine. It's just, who are you really?
All right, so we're talking about a lot of different, I was kind of trying to keep track there, the different ones you talked through. And I guess I'm wondering, and perhaps people that are watching us are wondering, are one of those directions better than the other?
No, and not necessarily. I mean, what's really great about human beings is that we're all different. We all have a really unique set of skills. I mean, even if there's overlap between you and another partner or you and another financial professional, there is nobody that is exactly like you. The important thing here is that you have to be authentic. And, as I said before, the more you try to be something that you're not, people will notice. And it doesn't come across as trustworthy that we talked about before. It doesn't come across as, something that people want to be around. People can spot it.
Well, I think the fact that you say, there's no 2 people exactly alike, for those people out there that know me personally, they breathe a sigh of relief that there's nobody exactly like me out there. But in all seriousness, I think the authentic part of this is the most important. So you've thought about this. We've gone through, we've identified what it is, why it's important, how to identify the brand. All right, so we're walking down the road now. All right, let's say somebody would like to get started and they want to start promoting their personal brand. How's that work?
So there's really 3 factors to this: consistency, visibility, and frequency. So let's break it down. Once you've defined your brand, once you've gone through the whole process to really decide who you want to be and who you are, it's really important to be consistent in how you project yourself. Every single interaction needs to reinforce your brand. Again, it's going to be how you talk to people, how you write your emails, how you lead a meeting. Related to this is visibility, putting yourself out there in as many arenas as you can, writing articles or contributing to a blog, leading a webinar, a series of webinars, anything extra that will allow you to show the world who you are. And then last, frequency. As often as you can, or as regularly as you can commit to, you need to continually promote your brand. It's really common to want to jump in with both feet and say you're going to, write a blog post every week or do a social media post every single day. It's really common. I mean, just like with fitness, we all say we're going to work out every day, starting January 1st. And we all know that by January 15th, we're not doing it because it's impossible to sustain. We get tired of it. It just takes one excuse to go off the rails. And there we are without a plan. Instead, start small and commit to, a quarterly article. That we can all do. Even once a year, submitting an article to a financial journal or a professional journal, or saying you'll do one social media post a week. It's far more important to have that frequency, that regular frequency, versus starting with a bang and fizzling out before you know it.
It's a good point. It's a good point. I'm sure everybody, including myself, we can think of things where you went into it with so much gusto, and then you maybe bit off more you can chew at the beginning. So starting small and gradually leaning into it. But so how long can this take? I mean, if I want to fire up a personal brand in the next 30 days, is that realistic? Or, how long does it take to really get that personal brand established?
Well, I mean, everyone's different. And if you really wanted to go through that first initial process in just a couple of days, you could, as long as, you're getting that feedback from others that we were hoping to get. Typically, though, it takes a month, maybe two, to really take the time to look inward and decide, work through the process of honing what exactly your brand is. Then the next part of it is it usually takes a few months to establish that regular, consistency, frequency that we talked about, and visibility. I would say overall, an average would be about 6 months for this process. And don't forget, the process is ongoing. So once we've started this, you're continually working to hone that brand.
What would you say to somebody who says, this is all interesting, and but I'm just not one of those people. I don't think I'm going to go down this personal brand route, so I think I'll just skip it.
Well, so as mentioned, people are always building their brand. You have a brand, whether you know it or not. You just haven't taken the time to ensure that when you leave the room, people are saying the right thing. So if you're not building it, negative things can come up. It can be a discombobulated mess of skills, unrelated things, and a person will look at you and say, well, I don't know who that is, or I don't know what they're going to give me. People are always interested in what's that person going to do for me. If they can't identify it when they look at you, chances are they're either not going to want to work with you, or they're not going to continue to work for you because it's not a cohesive message to them every single time that you work with them.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you have a brand, whether or not you manage your brand or not is up to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm wondering, so again, in some of my past lives, I've been involved in rebranding either products or companies. Can a person rebrand themselves? Is that possible?
It's always possible to reinvent yourself, but remember that rebranding isn't easy. It's really important to define why you want to rebrand before you take the time to go through the process. You need to define what you want, why you want it, and then most importantly, you need to be able to tell others why you made the change. And if it's not a compelling reason or story, it won't be an easy switch for people to make. We all know actors, or we all know of situations where people tried to rebrand and it just didn't work. So don't lie. tell the story of why you wanted to rebrand and why it makes sense in your professional career. I mean, certainly a plausible story might be when you started off as a financial professional, you were interested in making money or making the most money for your clients. Nothing wrong with that. But perhaps as you got older, you realized there's more to it. Maybe you had a health scare. Maybe you had to help your parents through a long-term care event. So maybe now you're the advisor who goes a bit deeper and wants to really provide risk protection against long-term care. You know, that's a compelling story and a certainly plausible reason why you might shift your priorities as a financial professional. So there's nothing wrong with rebranding. There's nothing wrong with changing who you are and what you bring to the table. It's just that you need to be able to explain to yourself and to others why. And then it's just a matter of proving it with all of the additional elements that carry it through and that will make it believable.
Absolutely. And I could see that as somebody's career kind of matures over the years, how they may, they're still in the financial advising or the wealth management area, but the way they're approaching their customers, the way they're interacting with their clients, who really many times become close friends, how that changes and evolves could really matter in kind of that rebranding. All right, so now we've talked about what it is, why it matters, how to do it, and what happens if we don't do it. So how do we go about actually promoting our brand? We got it all done. We did everything you just said, Laura. Now, how do we get it out there?
So a big part of promotion, as I said, is in the things that you do every single day. It's all about the consistency factor. So again, that means every single email, all your office interactions, everything you do needs to reinforce your brand. But on top of that, here are some places that you should look or begin looking to promote your brand. First, check your bio. Does it highlight the skills, the things related to your brand? Does it reinforce your passions, your values? If not, rewrite it so that it's on brand. Secondly, newsletters. If you don't send out a newsletter, think about starting to your clients, to prospective clients. Make sure that you're writing articles or finding articles that reinforce your brand or things that are important to you in your practice. If you have a website, there are several things that you can do. First of all, check the About Us section or the area where you've got the bios. As I mentioned, it's important that even your bio reinforce the things that are important to you and the things that are on brand. The second thing is check the overall design. That's really an important part that's often overlooked, but if it doesn't match up with your brand, it adds a confusion for prospective clients or existing clients. So if you are that methodical, organized type of advisor, does your website have a bunch of video and moving parts and odd color scheme? That might not match up. On the other hand, if you're this artistic, creative type of advisor, do you have a boring website? I mean, you need to think about things like color and website design when reinforcing your brand. Next, put on some webinars, meetings, maybe even speaking engagements where you can show off your brand. Talk about the things that reinforce your brand. And then last, write some blog posts. It's a really easy thing because it doesn't have to be, a 3-page scholarly article. It can be a really short blurb about a topic that is interesting to you, that reinforces your brand and shows off who you are as a person. The greatest thing about the blog post is that it can be used in social media. So of course that gets the last thing, social media. In the past, didn't have to worry about it. Now you do, because that is a public presence that you have as a public person. So LinkedIn, your Facebook company page, start by getting involved in social media, showing off who you are and what your practice stands for.
I think those are great tips. And I have to tell you, when you say social media, I think my back gets a little more stiff because I think of the fact that through the years I've had various social media accounts, and My 20-something-year-old kids would tell you I've locked myself out permanently out of many of them and probably shouldn't be on most of them, which is fine. But when it comes to things like LinkedIn or even Facebook, I don't really know where to get started. Do you have some tips of how we might be able to navigate that waterfront?
Absolutely. So, start small. Again, don't try to, do it all in a week and, completely conquer social media. Start small, and even, once you join, just start following people. Follow some groups like insurance carriers, professional groups like LLIF and SECA. Follow some people that you know. This will give you some perspective on what people are talking about, things that they're consistently posting. It'll give you some research on the industry that will help you understand how to navigate your own platform. Secondly, join some groups. So this is a great thing about LinkedIn, even Facebook, Twitter. You can join groups of like-minded professionals. So, LIMRA, NALBA, FinSeca, there's all sorts of groups. Even there's groups of insurance agents. There's groups of financial professionals that have, it just allows a forum without actually publicly posting. You'll get a sense on what people are talking about and what's important. Third, just start commenting or liking and sharing. So this is one of the easiest things you can do is you go through your feed. If you see something that is related to your brand, who you are, what's important to you, just like it. If it's really something that you find compelling or want to share, click share. It's an easy way to continually get in the game without having to come up with writing posts or finding articles to share and all of that. The last step is to start the writing of the posts. What to write about? Find some articles that speak to you, that are interesting, that reinforce the brand elements that are important to you. It's a real simple thing to click on the link, paste it into the post, and write a sentence or two. That's all it takes. Obviously hashtags come next, and there's other elements as you get more and more into it, but it's a process. You can even take 2 or 3 months to just do one a week and get more and more adventurous or more and more confident in your skills. And then you'll find that it's really quite easy to find the things and share the things and build who you are as a public figure.
Absolutely. In fact, as you were saying that, I felt a little bit better because I do some of those things in my own LinkedIn profile, and it really isn't that hard. And if people are looking for somebody to follow DBS. We would love to have you follow us or any of our team here at DBS. So speaking of DBS, since so we don't actually create personal brands here at DBS, but are there things that we have created or that your team, Laura, has created that can help folks?
Yes, absolutely. So we do have a helpful checklist on our website that will walk through the steps that I mentioned on how to actually determine your own personal brand. So we've got the list of writing down the words, honing in on your brand. We've got all of that as a checklist. We also have some website or social media tips on how to get started in social media. If you didn't take notes on this program, don't worry. We've got all of it laid out to help you get started. We also have some additional, for people who may be coming in midway and want to go to the next level, I pulled some great articles and posted them on our website as well. So no matter where you are in the process, we have something that will be of use to you on our website.
Laura, that's just fantastic. And before we go to final word, I just want to say thank you. This has been interesting and I think very useful. And hopefully people can find this as another resource that you can use to help drive more business and more activity for your own firm. Laura mentioned the website at DBS. Our website and our resources are here for you. We're here to help your life be easier, simpler, and more profitable. So come out to our website and take a look around, or reach out to one of our associates who'd be happy to help you. Laura, any final words today?
Well, I think it comes down to that quote I shared earlier, what Jeff Bezos said about what people say about you when you're not in the room. Your personal brand exists whether you think about it or not. So you have the power to make sure that when you leave the room, you're going to say something great.
Absolutely. Well, I hope people are saying great things about all of you, and your clients are saying great things about you. And I hope that you found our time together to be helpful. Until next time, we look forward to hearing from you again soon. If you need anything, reach out to our team. But until next time, take care and be well.